Welcome to the Education Exchange. I'm your host, Superintendent Jeremy Calles here at the Tolleson Union High School District. And today we are talking about Black History Month. I have a couple of guests here with us on the show, and I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves, starting with Delila.
Hi, I'm Delayla Wilcox. I'm a student here at Sierra Linda, and this is my teacher.
And hello, I'm Winter Williams Adams. I am a history teacher and a sponsor of BSU here at Sierra Linda.
On Black Student Union, what exactly are some of the activities that you guys do, some of the events that you organize, especially, this month with it being Black History Month? What are some of the things that you guys have been putting together?
The main thing that we've been doing right now is culture. I forgot what it was called exactly. It was Culture Week,
Mhm.
basically, and we had a bunch of just activities and stuff for people to do during lunch that are related to Black history, and it was a really nice way of introducing people to BSU and what we're about and what they do.
Nice. Winter, anything you'd add to that with some of those activities?
Yeah, it was a cultural kickoff. So it was like actually, believe it was the first event for Black History Month that Sierra Linda has had, sponsored by BSU or kind of thrown by BSU. So it was the kickoff week that we did it. So it was our first time, and we had different tables. We had a table for an information table. We had a table like about Black history and things like that, and you can compete against other people to see how much you knew. We had a Black culture table, a few other tables. I think we had 6 tables in total that had games and prizes that you could win competing against other students. So it was fun.
Nice. And this is now the 100-year anniversary
Yes.
of Black History Month. When you look back, for both of you, when you look back on Black history, who are the ones who have provided the most meaning for you? Like, who would you say are have been inspirational with what they've been able to contribute to advancing Black history here in America?
Do you want to go first?
Well, when I was a kid, it's gonna sound like weird for you guys, but President Obama was literally my first president, and knowing that I was like my first president that I've ever had in America was a a black man is really nice to know for me because I just felt safer. Like I felt like I was more like black people were more involved in the US's government than they have been before. And it was really nice to know
Kind of
that
set the tone for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice to know that I could do that and that it was possible for me.
Well, I'll tell you, that doesn't sound weird at all. That sounds very inspirational, especially for those of us who are older, right?
Hmm.
And we don't have it from the same lens of knowing Barack as our first president. So no, that's very inspirational.
Well, for me, I minored in Africana Studies, so this is my jam. This is my month, and I don't. It's hard for me to narrow down just one, but I guess in honor of Jesse Jackson, since he passed this morning, Jesse Jackson would have to definitely be up there. I was listening and reading some of his speeches this morning before starting work, trying to figure out how I can squeeze them into some of the lessons. It's kind of hard to squeeze them into World War II. Uh, but yeah, just Jesse Jackson, what he stood for, what he did with his platform, and how he used his platform to um, highlight or amplify those marginalized voices. And again, it wasn't just African Americans; it was all people who are marginalized in this country.
Mhm.
Yeah, just honor him from that, and he will be missed.
Now, Dalila, what chance have you had to study other greats? Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, some of the others who have also helped shape our country.
Um, well, a big problem with school now is that we don't learn a lot about African American history. Like we were just recently reluctantly like added a bunch of vague topics about black history. So I've had to go out and seek that information myself. But honestly, in this class, in Miss Williams' class, I've learned a lot about black history, a lot more than school itself is willing to teach me, and I'm really grateful for her for that. But she really like introduced me into the fact that what people teach in schools isn't exactly what black history is, and that you really have to go and find your own, like you have to go out and search for your own knowledge when it comes to that stuff. So really, Miss Williams has been a lot of what I've learned. Like she's taught me a lot.
Yeah. So Winter, I gotta imagine you take a lot of kudos and a concern there.
Mhm.
The kudos for the exceptional job you're doing to bring that awareness, and I see the inspirational quotes all across your room of many of those who have honored us throughout history. But what about the concern? So you hear from Delila that she's saying, she really hasn't received much in school up to this point, and thinking of that for all students, like how do you like to take that on to bring more awareness, to bring um, some of that into their lives so they know some more of that history?
I think representation is extremely important, and I try to place that in lessons. I think it can be it can be placed in any lesson. I think it is up to the teacher to, if they don't know, to go out and seek how they can input representation in the lesson. So for me, it's always at the front of when I'm lesson planning, when I'm looking at my classroom thinking, how can they relate to this? How can I give them representation in this? So I try to do that with every lesson. Um, so yeah, it's about changing mindsets,
Yeah.
teacher mindsets. Yeah.
And so for both of you, if there was, what other things would you like to see the school doing to honor Black history? What are some things that you see? I mean, obviously, you're saying there's some steps that are taking place here at Sierra Linda, but then even across the district, what are
hmm
some things that you're like, I wish the district had this in place to bring more awareness, to bring more honor?
Um, well, recently there's been a lot more like things associated with Black culture. Like, um, she's teaching a AP African American Studies, which we didn't have last year. So there are some things, but I just always wish that it was more mainstream, since African American culture specifically is so important to uh, U.S. culture as a whole. That it's like I feel like even if you aren't necessarily interested in African American culture, that you should still at least be knowledgeable about it because of how important it is to America, just how important our people have been to America.
Oh, what would I like to see? Oh my gosh, there's so much. Well, again, the AP African American Studies
Mm.
class, which we are bringing next year. I've taught it before in the past. It's an awesome class. It's open for everyone, so I encourage everyone to take it. Kids of all colors, all backgrounds, I think should take it because African American history is American history. Um, what else would I like to see? Well, I think this is a good start. Having BSU represented, focusing on Black History Month. I would like to see, again, I think it has to be a shift in like culture and mindset, implementing this stuff in everyday classrooms. So it's not just BSU in the quad, a couple of lunch periods a month. I would like to see it like really kind of embedded in school culture.
And so on that note, are there plans that BSU has to bring that more into the forefront of the school culture? Like what is BSU currently planning beyond Black History Month?
Oh, that's good. So I know we have some things we're going to focus on, like Women's History Month. We're going to focus on that and bring women, so not just African American women, but all women who have contributed to America and America's fabric. What else are we doing? I know we're spotlighting seniors and their work. I know there's a HBCU fair also that's coming up. So we're trying to get kids, of course, more interested in college and HBCUs in particular. Hard thing is there's no HBCUs in Arizona. The closest HBCUs are in Texas. So, but it's just good for kids to know, to have options, to be aware. And I think, I'm sorry, that's all I can kind of come up with on the top of my head right now. But definitely things to include all aspects, so academic and fun. We're having a parent night. I think that's part of the HBCU um, meeting that we're having. So just different things to try to get the school community involved.
So on that note, we have been trying to invite more historically Black colleges and universities out to Commitment Day, where we bring all of our students out to meet with all their different possible post-secondary opportunities. So if you have any connections,
Okay.
make sure you get them over to Oscar. He's quarterbacking, making sure we can get all the colleges
Okay.
we
I
can out
know I
there.
have a
So
Howard one.
there you
We
go.
just
Well, I
had
think
Howard
Howard was the
come.
one who
Okay.
just
Okay.
Howard just came out this last time, so we're
Okay.
fortunate to get
Okay.
Howard. But we're trying to get more
Okay.
representation. So
Yeah, we'll
if
do.
you have other connections, make sure you get those over to Oscar. We definitely want to have them out there in front of our seniors next year. Dalila, as you're learning and studying more, and especially like being inspired by Barack Obama being president, and everything that President Obama did as well during his term. What does that inspire you to want to do after high school? Do you have plans about what you want to do to make your mark after high school?
I'm nothing really specific. I just know that I want to be able to voice my opinion in the same way. Like, I feel like there aren't many black women who are in positions of power to be able to give a voice to the black community, specifically black women, but just the black community in general, I feel like is lacking um a lot of powerful voices, and it's really my dream to kind of be that one day.
That's a great dream to have.
So maybe policy, maybe government.
Yeah, I'm thinking about government.
Okay. Okay.
There
I
you
didn't know
go.
this. Yeah, that's
Future
awesome.
political leader.
Yeah, there we go.
And looking at BSU, is BSU then open for all students as well? And how's the membership looking so far? How big is the group?
Well, right now we have about 80 students, part of BSU. And yes, they are from every color, every background. It is open for all students. It's not just Black students. It does particularly give Black students a voice and representation on campus, but it is for anyone who is in support of, of, of Black students, of Black voices, of marginalized communities. It's for everyone.
So use this as an opportunity to promote them a little more. What if a student is out there considering joining BSU? What could they look forward to? How often do you meet? What are some of the fun,
We
engaging things that
mhm.
take place in there?
We meet weekly for meetings. Again, this is our first year. I think they started briefly last year, but it really didn't last. So we're really building from the ground up. With a lot of meetings, a lot of planning on what we're going to do, hopefully toward the end of the year. So I would encourage students, especially if they want to be active. We definitely need help with planning these things. We need more hands on. It'll look good on a college application. um, and it offers community. It offers, yeah, a supportive community. So any students that are out there that are interested should definitely come and join.
And Alita, for you, any personal testimony on how BSU has helped you, or how you've enjoyed the involvement with BSU?
Mostly just the community that it provides. I haven't seen like that many people of my color in a room before, like ever. So it was just really nice being able to have my own space where it's not necessarily just black people, but it's people of color who know what it's like to be of color in America, like who know what it's like to be like oppressed just because of something that you can't control. And it's really nice to be in a room full of people who understand that, even if that's not like the topic. It's just nice to know that you're safe and that you are around people who share an experience with you.
It's nice. Now, with it being Black History Month, I have to ask you guys: is there a favorite quote that speaks to you when you think of Black history? Whether it's Martin Luther King, Barack Obama. Does somebody have a favorite quote? And yeah, there's plenty to choose from around the room. But does somebody have a quote that really speaks to you that you'd like to share out with listeners who would enjoy to hear a quote?
I do. I can't read it from here, but it's Malcolm X, and he talks about education. I can't get the direct quote, but he talks about education and education being the pathway. Education is for many, especially African American children, it's the only way. You have to get that education. So it's why I'm so passionate to be not just representation for my students in the classroom, but to give them these opportunities to open up doors, to break down doors, to bust those windows open, um, to get the best education they can have.
And Delita, do you have one?
Um, Honestly, I do really like that Malcolm X quote because I feel like people don't understand the importance of education, especially like in the Black community. It's not as focused on. It's more like people are more worried about um comfortability, like money wise, than they are about education. And I feel like that's really important for a lot of Black people to understand that education is really important.
Well, I definitely appreciate that sentiment. Us all being in education and giving our careers to education, definitely agree that education is the great equalizer. And now more than ever, it's very important for people to remember that when what we are dealing with is a little bit unprecedented with how they are trying to remove public education and the right to all of us having the same quality level of education. So we could definitely use some passionate speakers like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King now to remind everybody how hard people fought for us to get to this point. So that way they don't relinquish it so easily when others are trying to promote different systems that would create tiers of education. So education is very important. Anything else that you guys would like to leave for our parents, our students, our listeners, future members of BSU?
Well, you just brought up a really good point, and it actually reminded me of something I was going to say earlier, but of just the erasure of Black culture in particular. This is Black History Month and needs to be highlighted, and how some are making very, very calculated efforts to erase Black history altogether. It's important. So, families, students, like Delayla was saying earlier, go out and seek that information yourself. Read, join BSU. We have these discussions and talk about things like that. Even students, if you want to like suggest and encourage your teachers to put this kind of stuff in lessons, right? So you guys can discuss and learn about it in a class. I think fighting back against the system is important.
Yes.
Um, I just think BSU is really important because racism in itself is never going to go away. And I think the only way to really kind of like deter that or like balance it out is to create spaces for people who've experienced racism to flourish and really grow into their own people without having to be worried about, all those outside opinions. And that's why I really love that we have our own um, group for not just Black people, but marginalized people who are, you know, of color. I think it's really important to have that. And I think that people take it for granted. And I think everybody should join BSU.
All right. Well, that's a great way to close right there. I appreciate you for sharing that and for coming on to our show today to share with our listeners. And we appreciate our listeners for tuning in once again to the Education Exchange, where we aim to enlighten our parents and empower our students. We look forward to seeing you again next time.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Education Exchange. Have a question or want to be a guest on our podcast? Email podcast@tuhsd.org for more information. Missed an episode? Catch all seasons of the Education Exchange on your favorite streaming platforms or at www.tuhsd.org/podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Education Exchange.